So I run a paid ads agency and my team and I are very good at it. And we turn down people who want to run ads with us very, very regularly. And it's not because we don't want the business, but it's because we've watched enough coaches, consultants come to us after they've burned 5, 10, 20K in ad spend and have gotten nothing or close to nothing back. And it's not because the ads were bad, but because they skipped the one question that tells you whether you're actually ready to run them. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So if you're a coach or consultant who's been thinking about putting money behind ads to grow your client base, this video is for you. And the question takes about 30 seconds to answer, but most people never ask it. And quickly about me, I've been in the agency world for about 6 years now, and in that time, I've seen the same pattern play out more times than I can count. A service business owner, usually a consultant, sometimes a coach, occasionally even another agency, they come in with budget and urgency, right? They want leads, they want to scale, they want paid traffic because they heard that it works. They've seen someone else do it, and they're ready to invest into that, right? And sometimes, if everything is right, we take them on, and it works perfectly. But a lot of the time, and honestly more than I'd like, we have to have an uncomfortable conversation early in the discovery process. The conversation sounds something like this. Yes, I can run your ads, but right now, if I do, you're going to waste your money, and here is why, right? That conversation comes down to one question, and it's not about budget, it's not about targeting, creative, or what platform to use. It's much more fundamental than all of that. And before I give you the question, I want you to understand why it's the right question, because if I just tell you what it is without context, it's going to sound too simple. You'll hear it, nod, and move on, right? So stay with me for the next couple minutes, and I promise it'll end differently by the end. So here's the thing that no one tells you when you're in the early stages of a consulting or coaching business, right? Paid advertising does not create demand. It amplifies the demand that already exists. Remember that, right? Ads are a scaling tool. Most service businesses use them as a starting tool, and that's why they fail. What that means practically is if your offer isn't converting in warm conversations, paid traffic is just going to put more cold strangers in front of an offer that isn't working yet. You're not solving the problem, you're just accelerating the exposure of it. And I want to say that again because it's really, really important. Ads don't fix a broken offer, they expose it faster. They take the friction you're already experiencing in sales conversations and multiply it across hundreds of people that you've never met. Every weakness in your positioning, every vague outcome, every objection you haven't figured out how to handle, ads will find them all and they'll charge you a hefty sum to do that. So the thing I want to touch on is you don't fix a leaking bucket by pouring more water into it, right? Think about what that actually means for your business, right? If you've been having conversations with warm prospects, people who know you, follow you, were referred to you, and some of them are converting, but a lot of them aren't, and you're not totally sure why, that's the leak, right? That's the hole in the bucket. Now imagine you run ads. You get 50, 100, 200 new people coming into that same system. More water, but that same leaky hole, right? You haven't fixed anything. You've just made the problem way more expensive to run. And this is why I see agency owners spend $10,000 on ads and blame the ads. The ads did exactly what they were supposed to do. They brought traffic. The traffic went through a funnel. The funnel leaked. That is not an ads problem. Genuinely, that's just a foundation problem. And here's the part that people get stuck in. It's a loop, right? When the ads don't work, the instinct is just to change the creative, a different video, a different image, a different headline, a different hook. And look, sometimes that's the right call because creative matters. But when I see people cycling through 15 different ad variations when the real issue has nothing to do with the creative at all. So if people are clicking your ad, if your cost per click is reasonable, if people are landing on your page and they're still not converting, you don't have a creative problem, right? You have an offer problem, you have a positioning problem, you have a conversion problem. Those are three different things and none of them get fixed by a new thumbnail or a new ad, right? The most expensive thing you can do in paid advertising is keep testing a creative on top of a broken foundation because every single test costs money. And every single test that comes back negative tells you nothing useful if the variable you needed to fix wasn't the ad. So here's the question, write it down if you need to. Can I close this offer in a warm conversation with a qualified person without offering a discount? That's it. If the answer is yes, consistently, not just once, obviously, you're ready to consider ads. If the answer is no, or if you're not sure, or if you've only closed a few people and most of them were friends, referrals, or people who already know you well, you're not ready, not yet, right? And I want to put extra emphasis on the word consistently, right? One close doesn't prove anything. Two closes, maybe you're getting there, but if you can look back at the last 30 to 60 days and point to multiple people who heard your offer, understood it immediately, and then paid you at your real rate, That's a signal. That's what we're looking for. And here is why this specific question is the right diagnostic. Because when you run ads, you're paying to have conversations with people who have never heard of you. They don't know your name. They have no reason to trust you. And there's no shared context, right? They're cold. So when you sell to someone warm, a referral, a past contact, or someone who's been in your world for a while, you have every advantage possible, right? They've already made a partial decision about you before the conversation starts. There's trust, there's context, there's even goodwill, right? You can handle objections live, you can read the room, you can adjust. But ads strip that all away. Your offer has to do the entire job on its own. It has to catch attention, build enough trust to earn a click, and then convert that click into a buyer, all without you into the room unless you have a sales call funnel. And that is a much harder version of this entire test. So if you can't pass the easy version, the warm conversation where you have every advantage, you almost have no chance of passing the hard one, right? I think about it as a sports analogy, and this is how I like to explain it, right? You wouldn't put a player who can't perform in practice into a championship game. The championship game is harder. The stakes are higher. The margin for error is way smaller. Ads are the championship game. Warm conversations are practice. Get good at practice first. So let me give you a real example of this. A few months ago, I had a call with a guy, let's call him James, who runs an AI agency out of New Zealand, and he focuses on construction automation. 4 months into his business, doubling revenue month over month, right? Like 2K, 4K, 8K, slowly moving up in the monthly recurring revenue. Very sharp guy, a very real operator. And he came to me specifically because he wanted to run ads. He had the budget, right? Had the urgency and had everything you'd want to see from a client on paper. But as we got into the conversation, things really started to surface. His offer was still evolving. The positioning was shifting. He was closing deals, but all of the clients came in at different prices, right? Some through different pitches. He hadn't quite locked in the process, right? These construction guys have a huge network. It was tons of referrals, which is fantastic. But I asked him directly, if a stranger showed up tomorrow who had never heard of you, no referral, no context, could you close them at your full rate? And his honest answer was that most of his closes to that point had come from either warm outreach or a referral. People who had some prior context on who he was, and he hadn't yet proven the offer to a true stranger. So I told him, could you run ads today? Probably. Is it going to work for you as well as it would if you had a proven foundation? Guaranteed, no. And that's the call I'd rather have with someone at month 4 than the call we're having at month 6, where they've spent 8K on ads and have nothing to show for it. James wasn't doing anything wrong. He was just at a stage where ads would have just been very expensive guesswork, right? We focused on building the proof first, and that's the sequence. So what does proven actually look like? Because I hear people use this word, I have a proven offer, my offer converts. And then when I dig into what they mean, it doesn't often match the definition I'm about to give you, right? Proven is not, my friend said that they'd buy it, right? Proven is not, I sold it once at half price and the client seemed happy. Proven is not, I think there's clearly a market for this. And those are all very promising signs, but none of them are proof. So at JPM, before we take on any client for paid ads, we look for 3 specific things. Number 1, the offer converts with people who found you through outreach, not referrals, outreach. Referrals validate that you're good at what you do, but they don't validate that a stranger can understand, want, and buy your offer without someone vouching for you first. You need the second one before ads even make sense, because ads are genuinely just outreach at scale. So 2, you can articulate the outcome in one specific sentence, not I help coaches grow their business, right? Something specific enough that the right person hears it and immediately thinks, yeah, that's my situation. That's what I need. Vague positioning is invisible in a paid feed, right? People are scrolling past hundreds of ads. If your value prop takes more than a sentence to land, the ad will not do it for you. Number 3 is you understand why the clients that you've already closed, why did they buy, right? What specific pain did they describe? What made them say yes when they did? What objection came up every time and how did you handle it, right? If you can't answer those questions, you don't have the information you need to write ad copy that converts. The ad is the opening line of the sales conversation. If you don't know what gets people to lean in, you can't write that opening line. So when all 3 are in place, paid advertising compounds really fast. When they're not, it drains really, really fast. And what I want to flag is one more trap just before we wrap, because it catches a lot of people. Closing warm deals is not the same as having a proven offer. And this is something we've actually really came into recently, because if you've closed 3 clients at half your rate because you felt weird charging full price or they needed a discount to close, that is practice. It is very, very useful, but it is not proof. If your last 5 clients all came in through the same referral source and probably would have bought no matter what you said, right? That's a relationship. It's not a proven offer. Proof means a stranger, someone who didn't know you existed 30 days ago, paid you your real price after a real conversation where you didn't discount, didn't over explain, or didn't rely on just being a nice guy or goodwill. If you've done that a handful of times and you understand why it worked, then you have a proven offer. Before that, you just have a very promising one, and there's a difference, and it matters enormously when you're about to spend a crap ton of money on traffic. So here's where I want to leave you. Ads are the reward, not the shortcut. You earn your right to scale by proving the offer works first. In the real world with real people at your real price, when you have that, the warm conversation and conversion is clean and you know why it's working, and you can explain the outcome in one sentence. That is when ads become a multiplier. That's when every dollar you put in has a real shot at coming back as, 2, 3, 4. We've seen 8x ROAS on some of these, right? But before that, you're not running ads to grow. You're running ads to find out if your foundation is ready or not, right? And that is an expensive way to learn something that you could have figured out in a few conversations. The most common thing I hear from people when they've made this mistake is, wow, I wish I had known this sooner. Well, now you do. So do the work first. The ads will be there when you're ready. So if you want help building that foundation, the offer, the process, the positioning, the team, that's exactly what we do here at Behind the Funnel and JPM Media. We work with service businesses to get them to the point where paid ads actually make sense. The link is in the description, so check it out if that's where you're at. And if this video was useful, subscribe. I'm putting out real practical content on how to actually build and grow a service business. No fluff, no BS, and I'll see you in the next one.